All right, hi everybody. This is Steven with Karma Astrology. I'm coming to you live from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Today is Saturday, May 1st. Happy May Day. 2021, 8:50 a.m. here in Santa Fe, Mountain Time Zone, Denver Time Zone. And that means that the moon has moved into Purvashada Nakshatra. It's in the middle of Sagittarius, as you can see down there. MO is the moon. And down here you can see my little text to show you when it ends. Ends at about 11:30 p.m. in the U.S. East Coast time. So you can transpose that wherever you are in the world to get an idea of when it ends for you. And so that being said, I'm going to go into it. Well, the moon is in Sagittarius. It's in that kind of meat of Sagittarius. It's at 19 degrees right now. But Purvashada is really the middle nakshatra in Sagittarius, so it's fully incorporated into the sign, being the middle sign out of three. And Sagittarius in general will make us feel more expansive, make us look for more meaning and hope and inspiration in order to feel grounded and calm, because the goal of the moon is to feel grounded and calm and peaceful as it relates to our sensitive side and our emotions and our feelings. And no one really wants their emotions to be out of control and crazy, kind of like my cats right now that are duking it out on the bed a little bit. But whatever the case, in general, it's a really powerful part of the zodiac, and it's a very positive part of the zodiac, and really good when a planet like the moon, who's good friends with Jupiter, comes into this sign. Excuse me. So, Sagittarius in general is the sign of the archer, and it's the archer sitting on the back of a horse. You know, in Greek mythology or in Greek astrology, they thought of it as a centaur, you know, half human, half horse kind of being. And it shows this like tremendous power and ability that you know, maybe a centaur has or something like that, where they can, you know, go really fast like a horse can, yet have this kind of intellect and high intelligence of a human, as that's what we're kind of known for, our creative abilities and our conceptualization. And well, with the strength and the power of an archer, as you know, the archer or the centaur holding a bow and arrow shows this ability to kind of strike at our goals and find this sense of meaning and purpose. And the arrows a lot of times deal with purpose. So, you know, getting directly to the point, being very clear. And that relates a lot to the fire nature of Sagittarius as the fire sign. And, excuse me. So when the moon comes into here, we're feeling this kind of in control. We're feeling more in control, more capable, more powerful, and more optimistic. So it's really nice on our psychology and our feelings when we're feeling this way. And Purvashada, that kind of takes me to Purvashada. So Purvashada means literally, Purva means the earlier or the former, and Ashada means invincible or victorious. And so what that shows is that the early victory, that's kind of what it means. And when planets come into this part of the sky, the energy from this part of the sky gets kind of transmuted through them like a lens, and then into our consciousness, whichever planet it is, it relates to that aspect of our life. So the moon in general, being about our feelings, it shows this kind of early victory that we're looking for. And the ability to be victorious, or kind of righteous and principled and powerful in a way that will make us victorious and independent. That has a lot to do with this sign. So, Purvashada also, you know, the symbol of Purvashada is the elephant's tusk. That's one of the symbols. The other symbol is the winnowing basket, you know, where you're kind of sifting through grain to separate the wheat from the chaff, right? Or chaff. And what that shows is a sense of discernment with the winnowing basket that comes here when we're thinking about our principles and thinking about our values and thinking about big picture ideas. We want to be doing it for, you know, focusing on truth, focusing on natural law, and focusing on principles that will allow us to be victorious and righteous. And then in terms of the elephant's tusk, it shows all of the power, the prowess, the authority that we gain and that we feel from the wisdom that we learn over a lot of time. You know, the elephant's tusk grows with age and everything, and the elephants with the biggest tusks end up being the leaders of their group, pack. I don't know what a group of elephants are called, but excuse me. In general, it shows leadership ability and capability, and also a sense of being able to defend yourself and be rooted in this kind of essential knowledge and wisdom that allows us to take charge in our lives. The deity associated with this nakshatra, this part of the sky, is Appa. Appa is the divine waters, or the cosmic water deity. And so it shows this kind of transformability in this section of the sky, and almost like this emotional power, because water relates to the emotions in a lot of ways, and the moon in general. And it shows the emotional power and that kind of power of transformation that can come from all the things that we experience when the moon or other planets are in this section of the sky, like today. So, other than that, let me see if I'm missing anything from my notes. So, let's see. There's also a purification element to water. I thought that would be important to mention. So this day can definitely deal with, some sort of spiritual purification or transformation process in your life. Now let me just show you where it is in the sky so you can get an idea of where to look for it tonight. And I'm going to switch screens now. And hopefully I'll do a little better than I did yesterday so I don't get in the way. There we go. X out of that. Bing, bang, boom. There you go. So you can see the moon is in that section of the sky. Let me move it to make it a little more clear for you. I'll just go back in time a little bit, so you can see kind of where it is with the night sky. So there's the moon in Sagittarius. As you can see, that teapot in the sky is Sagittarius. I also like to think of it as like a little Yoda head with a pointy ear over here and his little Yoda, extended 8th chakra part of his head. And then the floppy ear over here is what I like to jokingly call it. But this is basically the sign of Sagittarius. It's a little hard to see with this thing, but the bow is kind of over here, and this is, I guess you can translate it how you want. It's a little hard to see the exact brightness, but these kind of stars kind of play into it as well in Australis. And so it's in the middle of Sag, as you can see. And then I'm going to go back. Bear with me. There we go, back to Parashara's light. Okay, and then let's see. So today has a lot to do with early victory. This ability to take control, to be independent, to be kind of a leader figure. So we might be looking for ways in which we can express our abilities and the things that we've learned in a very powerful and controlling way, but for the betterment of everybody. There's this kind of optimistic aspect to Sagittarius in general, so it's not this kind of dark control and authority and this ability to manipulate others as much as it is about inspiring others and leading them. And Jupiter relates a lot to our teachers and teacher figures. So when planets like the moon come, or luminaries like the moon or other planets come into Sagittarius, we end up feeling like preaching a little bit more and sharing what we know, or learning from other people in a lot of ways. But this one definitely has to do with kind of the authority, the knowledge, the wisdom that allows us to be victorious. And that's a focus on truth that allows us to focus on what gives life value. And yesterday we were talking about Mula Nakshatra, the one in the very beginning of Sagittarius, being about our principles and the very fundamental core concepts in our lives, and how that And that actually kind of feeds into Purvashada, because once we understand our principles and have this foundation, have these foundational principles and values, then we're able to kind of act on them and be grounded in them. And that allows us to have great victories in our lives, spiritually, emotionally, physically. There's a sense of inner beauty and wisdom, this proliferation of our wisdom into wealth in Purvashada. So that elephant tusk kind of relates to the growing wisdom, the growing power, and ivory, of course, is, elephants' tusks are coveted all across the world for their beauty and just their kind of, their beauty. And then, so there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of invigoration, there's a lot of excitement, because we need those kind of qualities to be victorious in our pursuits. There's a sense of independence, as I was saying. It gives us a stronger intellectual faculty and intelligence. It makes us more discerning on a day like today. And then there's a sense of fearlessness too. It can make us a little aggressive because we're so kind of hopped up on all this energy and this wisdom and knowledge. We might be more confrontational with the people that we perceive to be weakening us or our values, especially when Mars is on the opposite end of the zodiac or the Earth in the sky. If you're on Earth, like we all are, it seems. I don't know if you're on Mars, maybe with Elon Musk or something. But in general, you can see that Mars is up there in Gemini from our perspective on Earth, and then as you can see down here, the opposite side is the moon. So Mars is in Gemini, the moon is in Sagittarius. They're aspecting one another. Kind of, when that happens, that makes us a little more aggressive and assertive and protective, defensive in a lot of ways. So, just it's nice to be able to stand up for what you believe in and your principles, but don't bite anyone's head off. We might have a tendency to get a little too rash and irrational because we're just standing up for what we believe and trying to be victorious on a day like today. So it's nice to be able to win maybe an argument and change someone's opinion, but that really oftentimes needs a lot of tact and a lot of skill. And that kind of brings me, I'll talk a little bit about Mercury for a second here, right up there. That ME is Mercury, the green one. And that just moved into Taurus, actually, from Aries over here. That's Taurus, that box. And when Mercury moves into Taurus, it's a little more peaceful. Our Mercury relates to our sense of speech and communication, our intellect in general. And so it shows, instead of this fiery Aries energy where we're kind of aggressive and it really kind of feeds into this Purvashada nature in a lot of ways, but in this kind of defensive and protective way, when Mercury goes into Taurus, or when planets go into Taurus, they settle down. There's this process of easing into Taurus where it goes from gotta be first, gotta win, gotta conquest and take over other people's ideas and plant my flag. And then when planets go into Taurus, they're like, oh, maybe I can just enjoy myself a little bit and find joy in the pleasures of life and kind of settle down and get grounded, because Taurus is an earth sign. It's a Venus-ruled sign, so it has to do with what makes us feel good and any sort of sensory pleasures or sensations that are good. So everything that looks good, everything that sounds good, especially with Mercury, if we're communicating, it's a lot of sound. Our voice tends to get a little more pleasant, we have a little bit of that grounded earthiness to it. And that'll kind of help our speech over the next month and our ability to kind of diffuse this kind of anger and aggression and defensiveness, protectiveness that Mars and, the sun is still, it's a little hard for me to point because it's mirroring everything, but the sun is still in Aries with Venus for now, even though Venus is getting pretty close to 30 degrees, which is the end of the sign. So there's still that fire, but we're slowly getting more earthy. We're slowly getting more peaceful and focusing on the things that feel good and, nice, like good music, good smells, all that good stuff, good looks. So let me talk about, just going back to Purvashada, since I'm jumping a little bit all over the place today. In terms of strengths and weaknesses, it can make us very influential as a strength on a day like today. there's this sense of artisticness that is kind of enhanced. Excuse me. It can make us more popular, more accepted, and it can increase our intelligence a little bit. And that Mercury will increase our intelligence a little bit, I think, too. Being in Taurus, it kind of makes our mind go a little slower, so we're able to think a little bit more clearly about stuff. It makes us courageous, supportive. It gives this part of the sky, Purvashada, where the moon is, tends to give a lot of wealth, so that you might be feeling like things are going your way a little bit more, a lot of luck and grace. Especially if you're standing up for your principles and acting righteously. It's a good thing to always focus on in general, but especially when the moon's in Sagittarius, it's a great time to focus on your principles and figure out what they are if you're not really clear on them, or live through them if you are very clear. And it makes us kind of seek truth in a way. In terms of the shadow qualities, this area of the sky when the moon comes in, or other planets, Purvashada can make us a little egotistical, a little inflexible, because we think our way or the highway in a little bit, and in a way it's kind of like this nature of fire to be like, this is right and that is wrong, and therefore I'm going to do what's right, or I'm going to beat myself up if I do what's wrong, that kind of thing, or beat up other people if they do what's wrong. So definitely kind of watch that tendency to think in black and white, and kind of understand that life is full of gray, and gray is a mix of black and white, and everyone has a different set of principles and experiences in life, so we need to have some space and respect for other people in general. This makes us a hard worker, that when the moon's here, we can be a little dictatorial, we can lack patience with other people, because we're just feeling all fired up and passionate. And let's see, in terms of favorable activities, anything that involves courage, anything that involves maybe teaching, making statements, inspiring others, inciting. It can be useful for taking on difficulty, like warring and confronting other people, and maybe not warring, but getting into a debate, perhaps, if it's a righteous debate and you're not biting someone's head off and you're doing it tactically. It's a great day for healing practices, because water has a lot to do with healing, and Appa, that divine water, allows us to find new ways to heal and really focus on them. It's a great day for taking on adventures, going to new places. Great that it's the weekend so that you get some freedom to do that, hopefully. Great time to focus on your spiritual practices in general, it always is. And a good day for sex, for feeling confident, and for spending time in water in general. And then in terms of unfavorable activities, or things I wouldn't recommend doing on a day like today, it's not a great day for diplomacy and negotiating things, because that involves more of this kind of tact and all that gray area that I was talking about, the equal kind of respectful footing. We're not necessarily too focused on respect, and that's something to keep in mind, to that we can amplify our sense of respect, and that we don't have to run over other people and treat them like doormats, or get treated ourselves like doormats, that kind of steamroll or doormat, that whole concept. It's not the best day for completing activities, since it's kind of the earlier of the Ashada. It's more about starting new things, kind of going on journeys. It's not the greatest day to just sit and do nothing, kind of reflect. So it's definitely more of an active day. And let's see, doesn't look like I have any questions in chat. Let's see if there's anything out there. I think that's pretty good for the day. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I hope you got a lot out of that. If you did, leave me a comment. Tell me what you learned. Tell me what you want to know. Next time, or if there's anything that in particular that was good for you to learn, and subscribe if you want to see more of these, to kind of get an idea of what the energy is on a daily basis. So that's going to be an active energy for the next 12 hours, half a day. And then tomorrow I'm going to talk about Uttara Ashada, which is the later of the victorious one, later of the later victory. So yeah, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care, and have a great Saturday.